Welcome to the Evident Proof demo. My name is Matt Roden. I'm the CTO of Evident. We run these demos twice weekly at around 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and 4 p.m. on a Thursday, London time. The purpose of the demo is just to give you a rough overview of what Evident Proof is, how it works, how it's used, and just take you through a sample workflow of how you integrate into the Evident Proof system and how you store data immutably. So Evident Proof deals with the immutable proof of evidence. What does that mean? Well, evidence in our terminology is any data that you or your organization holds that you need to store in an immutable way. So immutable means it can't be changed, it can't be tampered with, it can't be hacked. So we take in your data and we convert it to something called a proof seal, which can be stored in an immutable way and can be proved later down the line in a court of law, in a litigation scenario, in an audit or compliance scenario. So we give you proof of your evidence. So let's move on with the demo. So we have real clients using the system today. And one of these clients is the largest supplier of government taxi licensing solutions to UK local governments. And effectively, their line of business solution deals with the checks and balances and the governance around issuing a taxi license. So why would we need to store that data in an immutable way? Well, it was only earlier this year that there was an article out in The Guardian in the UK, which stated that last year in the UK, 150,000 taxi licenses were issued to drivers with criminal convictions, drink driving bans, you name it, they had it. And now at this point, there's a burden of proof on the local governments and also the supplier of the solutions to prove that those checks and balances were carried out, or they were carried out and the results were somehow falsified by the drivers or whatever else it might be. And how can you prove this data? Because traditional databases are not secure. So any data held in a traditional database can be hacked, can be tampered with, can be changed. The solution that Evident Proof has put in place is a distributed, immutable data store using blockchain technology. So we can't show you the full line of business application that the taxi licensing software is part of, but we have created a trimmed down version of it in a standalone demo, which effectively just shows creating a taxi license, that data being put into the Evident Proof system, converted to a proof seal, stored immutably in a distributed fashion on the blockchain network, and then proved using a proof certificate, which could then be used in a court of law, a litigation scenario, to auditors for compliance. So I'll move away from what you can see here, which is the Evident Proof client dashboard, and we're going to move into the taxi licensing solution. What we're going to do here is we're going to go and create a new taxi license. So this is something that we've created to simulate what our real client is doing, and we're going to put in a name here. And we're going to say that the license is going to be active. Now, here you can see that we've got checkboxes for things like criminal record checks performed. Of course, in a large line of business application with real checks and balances, this would be evidenced by some piece of documentation or some third-party verification in some way. And the Evident Proof system can store PDFs, it can store blob data, it can store images. Here, as I said, we just have a checkbox to indicate for this demo. Then we're going to put in driving license number. Again, you'd have a scan of the driving license. Maybe you'd have some reference to a third-party check to say the driving license is valid. Same with identity check and driving offences. So we're going to create this taxi license, and what's happening in the background is this data is being sent to the Evident Proof system, and it's being converted to a proof seal, and it's being sent off to the blockchain network in a distributed way, and we'll then be able to show this data being recalled and proved to be immutable. So Here we can see the taxi license, Robert Tom, taxi license 82. We're going to go through to the evident proof system. We're going to go and look at our proof seals, because this is where data that's been sent to the evident proof system programmatically via the REST API web service is stored. And we're going to go and take a look at the record that's been stored into evident proof. So you can see here that we have a dispatch. A dispatch is effectively an API call where data is posted through to the evident proof service. We have an ID, we have a where, which could be an IP address or geolocation. This is really about what proof means to you. So what is the where that you need to track? When is always a timestamp. So it's important for the sake of immutability that we can prove when the data was stored. And then we have evidence. So evidence is our fixed schema for storing your data. And effectively, it consists of a primary service user cross-reference, which is a reference ID back to your source data. So this could be a single foreign key, it could be some kind of compound key, it could be a serial number or a person ID, or whatever proof means to you in this scenario. Then we have a key here, we just have new license. For those of you in the software development community, key value pairs will look familiar. Here we have a value which is JSON data representing the form workflow that we just went through, which happened to be a single form. This could be a single field. It can be one form. It can be multiple forms with images and data and PDFs. It can be the works of Shakespeare. We care about is the proof seal that comes out the other end. It is this proof seal that holds your source data in a hashed way, where the data is publicly. And it is this proof seal that stores the metadata, such as when, where, how, cross-references, and so on. When we store that data, the platform returns back through the API call and also on the user interface a dispatch receipt. A receipt has a receipt ID and a flag to indicate whether the data was stored successfully. It is this receipt ID that you can store in your source database to effectively say, the data in my database has been stored immutably with evident proof. This is the stamp to prove it. And here is the reference back to the immutable store of that data. So at any point, you can present that receipt back to evident proof with the necessary identity keys and the token. And we will give you a proof certificate, which is immutable proof of your data. So proof certificates, what are they? Well, it is simply a way of proving that your data was stored on the blockchain network in a distributed way. The data on a proof certificate can be used by anyone who can talk about blockchain technology to prove beyond doubt that data was stored immutably on millions of computers around the world, and no one would have any problem proving that. So we're going to generate a proof certificate. You just click this button. And see here, we've sent a proof certificate request. There's my request ID, there's my timestamp. I've used an amount of token. If you want to talk about tokenization, which is fundamental to the platform, come and talk to me on Telegram and I will go through this with you. And then if we go into and look at a proof certificate, what you can see on the proof certificate is the source data that we stored, which is important because that's what we're saying we're proving. And the certificate itself, which boils down to proof of the blockchain transaction. So here you can see we have a transaction ID. We can also prove further data like the payload and so on. But effectively, this is your proof of the immutable storage of your evidence. This can be customized to what proof means to you or your organization. It can be formatted into a report, PDF. We consult with you on that entire process. So that is the evident proof demo. Do feel free to ask myself, Brian McClafferty, Adrian Clark, any of the team questions on Telegram, and I will be happy to answer. And I'll see you on Thursday at 4 p.m. London time. Thank you very much.